Do you think the greatest hip-hop tracks were perfectly planned? The answer is no. And here's the truth. Some of the most iconic songs in rap history weren't supposed to exist at all. They were accidents. They were born from struggles. They were forged in chaos. Like Eazy-E, who had to be persuaded for 2 hours to stand by the mic. The Gorillas, who made their first banger through a single click.
One preset.
And that moment when Dr. Dre forced the end of freestyle, after which the whole world found out about Eminem.
My name is Chicka Chicka Slim Shady.
And yet, they became the very songs that shaped the culture. Today, I'm exposing the untold stories behind the hits you thought you knew. And trust me, once you hear how these tracks really came to life, you'll never listen to them the same way again.
Easy is his name and the boys coming straight out of Compton.
Eric Wright, better known as Eazy-E, was never meant to be in a recording booth. He grew up in Compton, hustling on the streets, making a living as a small-time drug dealer. Music wasn't his dream, money was. But in 1986, after losing close friends to the streets, he decided to invest in music as a safer hustle. He put money into Ruthless Records, working behind the scenes. Eazy wasn't planning to rap at all. But when Dr. Dre and Ice Cube needed someone to record a track, they wrote, Boys in the Hood. No one else fit. So they shoved Eazy into the booth. At first, he could barely stay on beat. But the rawness in his voice gave the track something nobody expected: authenticity. What started as a reluctant experiment turned into one of the defining records of West Coast rap. And Eazy, the dealer who didn't even want to be a rapper, became a legend.
Let me play you some stuff.
Remember they used to call you that?
Hip-hop has always been about flipping struggle into greatness. And sometimes, the person least expected to shine becomes the brightest star. Kanye West wasn't always the confident superstar we know today. Before Through the Wire, he was a behind-the-scenes producer, desperate to be taken seriously as a rapper. Labels doubted him. They said he didn't look like a rapper. Then, in October 2002, his life changed forever. Driving home from the studio, Kanye fell asleep at the wheel and crashed headfirst into another car. His jaw was shattered. Doctors wired his mouth shut.
Enough beats for me on Blueprint 2 we are just to get by, and I was rehired. I got a track right now that
Most people would have taken time to heal, but Kanye, he went into the studio with his jaw literally wired shut. He rapped through clenched teeth and muffled pain, pouring his survival into Through the Wire. That track didn't just introduce Kanye's career. It announced a new kind of rapper, one unafraid to show vulnerability, to turn trauma into art. And then there's Eminem. Before fame, he was struggling to keep the lights on, raising his daughter while living paycheck to paycheck. When Dr. Dre gave him a chance in the studio, M freestyled a silly hook. Hi, my name is... At first, people laughed. Nobody thought it would work. But that goofy, almost accidental hook became the single that introduced Slim Shady to the world. What should have been the end, a crash, a joke, a rejection, became the beginning of greatness. Hip-hop loves to celebrate the solo genius. But here's the secret. Some of the greatest tracks were built by collaborations no one expected. In 1999, Dr. Dre was planning his comeback. He needed a song that would remind everyone who he was. The beat for Still D.R.E. was ready, but the lyrics weren't clicking. That's when Jay-Z stepped in. In just one night, Jay ghostwrote the entire track. Verses, hook, everything. Dre delivered it with his trademark authority. But behind the curtain, it was Jay's pen that gave this song its swagger. And then there's Dre and Eminem. When Dre first met him, many people in the industry doubted it. A white battle rapper from Detroit and the king of West Coast production. But their chemistry was undeniable. Together, they dropped Forgot About Dre, a track that silenced critics and proved that this unlikely duo had changed rap forever. In hip-hop, it's not just about who you are. It's about who you collide with. And sometimes those collisions make history.
It just came like that.
That's it. That's the preset. It's the Rock 1 preset.
Hip-hop was born from experimenting with turntables, drum machines, and samples. But the tracks that pushed the genre forward often came from the weirdest experiments. Take the Gorillaz' hit Clint Eastwood. The melody wasn't carefully composed. It came from a preset on a drum machine. What should have sounded generic became iconic. Proof that even accidents can create timeless vibes. Or Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot. Pharrell and the Neptunes stripped the beat to its bare bones, adding tongue clicks and even the hiss of a spray can. Critics thought it was too minimal, too strange. But that stripped-down weirdness, it made the song unforgettable. The sounds that seemed wrong ended up rewriting the rules of hip-hop. These songs weren't carefully plotted. They were accidents, struggles, collaborations, and experiments. Eazy-E, the hustler who didn't want to rap. Kanye, the producer who nearly died. Eminem, the broke father who joked his way into history. Dre and Jay-Z, a team-up no one saw coming. Pharrell, who turned tongue clicks into a global anthem. Hip-hop isn't about perfection. It's about resilience. About flipping pain, chaos, and randomness into something bigger than life itself. So now I'll ask you, which of these stories shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more hidden histories of hip-hop, hit subscribe. Because this is just the beginning.